Hello, hello. I'm Sorik. I'm in bed because my back hurts, but I still wanted to make a video today because I'm bored and I want to do something, even though my back hurts. So I have my handwritten notes here in my notebook about the Smosh website creation chart and the YouTube channel creation chart. And so I wanted to do a little description and comparison of both of the charts, and then maybe also talk a little bit about like the important placements in there versus like the important placements of some of the cast members who have those in their chart. And yeah, if you don't know what Smosh is a YouTube channel that was created back in 2005 by Anthony Padilla and Ian Hecox. It has been through numerous trials, tribulations, and changes in forms over the past 20 years, but the channel is still alive and still going strong, which is wildly impressive for a YouTube channel to be so long lived. Smosh has called themselves the SNL of YouTube in a cheeky way, and I do think that's like a relatively good description for what they are and what they do. Um, Ian and Anthony, the two co-founders, they started off as a pair of best friends who were just making videos for fun because they were bored. They originally had a website, the Smosh website, that they shared them on, and it was like a thing that they were known for at their high school. They were even like selling merch and fundraising while they were in high school. But the Smosh YouTube channel was not made until shortly after they graduated high school because it was made in November of 2005. And so they started off basically doing like lip sync videos and comedy sketches. And eventually, over time, it grew into a thing where they added channels. They added a second channel to do more unscripted, personality based content. And then they hired like 5 additional cast members to do that. They had a Smosh Games channel, which was for playing video games and board games. And that's also still an ongoing thing that they used to have like sort of like collaborator cast for, and now the regular full-time cast is just also on the Smosh Games videos. But yeah, so there's a lot to Smosh, and I'm not going to go too much into like the whole history of it here, but I will just sort of talk about the chart of the chart of when the website was made, and then the chart of when the YouTube channel was made, and talk about some similarities between the two of those, how they relate to like the things that Smosh has been through in its up and downs over the past 2 decades, and the way that some of those charts sort of like vibe with the charts of the cast members. So yeah, this is going to be my first attempt at a Smosh related astrology video. I don't know who the audience for this is going to be, but if it's you, let me know you've come to the right place if you are somehow at the intersection of interests between Smosh and astrology. So yeah, okay, let's begin. I almost forgot. I wanted to say, if you watch this and you like my analysis of this and you want a personal reading, I'm doing personal readings now. Link will be in the description below. Also, down in the description, I will include links to the calculation for the Smosh website's birth chart and the Smosh YouTube channel's birth chart, so you can open those in another tab and take a glance at them if you'd like. And I will also include a link to an article that I just wrote about the moon, which is on my website and my Substack, because it's Cancer season. We just had the Cancer solstice. Summer has now begun, and also Cancer is an important sign to the Smosh website and YouTube channel charts, as you will see. Okay, that's all. Now let's get started. So, I went online and I looked up when the Smosh website was first registered, because that's a thing that you can just do for websites. And the Smosh website has existed since November 8th, 2002 at 7:48 p.m. Presumably, I use the city Carmichael, California, because per my Smosh investigation, because per my Smosh research, that is where Ian and Anthony lived/went to high school. So that's the location I'm using. The planetary day was Venus Day because it was a Friday night. It was also Venus Hour and Moon Sub Hour. And you will see both this chart and the Smoshed YouTube channel chart have important stuff going on with the Moon and Venus. And so it was seeded during this moment of the website creation. And in fact, even in this very chart itself for the website, which is 3 degrees Cancer rising, ruled by a 7th house moon in Capricorn. And it also has, let's see, what are the most important things? Sun, Mercury, and Venus all in Scorpio in the 5th house. So it's got a 5th house stellium, which makes sense. Strong 5th house Scorpio emphasis is giving. They're doing this for creative expression. It's edgy humor. They are not afraid to go with dark or occult topics. Like they had, the videos where they were talking about the like haunted easy bake oven or the possessed easy bake oven. Lots and lots of don't jump kind of jokes, especially in their earlier years. Really not afraid to hit upon deeply troubling topics for their humor. And so that's really giving that 5th house Scorpio emphasis. Venus is also retrograde in Scorpio in this chart, which means that Smosh will probably be having some sort of a like collective like aesthetic reworking later this year, because Venus is about to go retrograde in Scorpio and Libra later in 2026 in fall. So keep an eye out. They might be aesthetically reworking themselves around then. Let's see, what else is important? They've got Pisces rising. No, sorry, not Pisces rising. Pisces midheaven, which is dispositor to Jupiter in Leo in the 2nd house. Jupiter in the 2nd house, it's giving money, which is like, it makes sense that this became a thing that later became profitable for them, because again, Jupiter in the 2nd house ruling the midheaven, which is the place that's like sort of your public reputation and what you're known for, and also the thing you're building. So the thing that they were building, though they didn't know at the time, was something that would become a source of income. And specifically that helps because Jupiter in Leo is like, Leo is a fixed sign, and so it's something that is kind of like steady and can grow over time. But also Jupiter likes being in Leo, relatively speaking. It's not like one of its most favorite signs, but Jupiter in general is like fairly comfortable in fire signs. So decent place to have Jupiter. I didn't even talk about, so Cancer rising is going to become interesting as I talk about the later charts, because Cancer rising ruled by a Capricorn moon. So having a 7th house moon as the planet that guides the ascendant very much speaks to like the 7th house is one-on-one relationships. So that's very much is giving like Smosh has a huge emphasis on duos. It started off with Ian and Anthony being, like a pair of besties. And then even once they started like expanding and adding more cast members, like first they started off with the Smosh Squad, which is like 5 additional cast members who were full-time. And then as up to now, they have like maybe like 15, 16 like main cast members. And so, and plus rotating guests. But something that they've talked about explicitly in different like episodes of Smosh Mouth and stuff is that Smosh, even more than having individual favorite cast members, it's very common for people to have favorite duos. They even have a show on the Smosh Bit channel called Duo You Know Your Duo, which is literally like pairs versus pairs doing a sort of like who knows your partner better kind of, or who knows their partner better kind of game. So duos are a very important part of Smosh, and they will also they will also make an appearance in the chart for the Smosh YouTube channel, because their ascendant ruler is going to be in Libra, and Libra is, oh, sorry, not their ascendant ruler, their ascendant is going to be in Libra, and Libra is very much about duos and like one-on-one pairs as well, in my experience. But yeah, what else do I want to talk about the website chart? Because this was sort of like the first seeding of Smosh as a public entity, even if the channel sort of was the more dramatic one. Okay, so we've got the moon and the Centaur asteroid Chiron, or should I say Centaur planetoid Chiron in Capricorn, and specifically with Chiron conjunct the descendant, aka opposite the ascendant. This means that Chiron is going to be super important for Smosh as like a whole entity, which means that Chiron, if you like look up its places, its description on places, like a very common phrase you will come across is wounded healer. And that's all fine and all, but I feel like it ignores the entire breadth of what Chiron actually can represent, which is like, I find one of my favorite keywords for Chiron is not just healer, but also maverick. It's someone who is like going out there, trying new stuff, or like trying to innovate, you know? They're trying to do things that are not just the same that everyone else is doing. They're trying to be creative. And not only that, but they're like forging a path ahead in a way that other people later copy and follow. And I feel like this is also a vibe that very much exists with Smosh, because it's like there is a lot of sort of structural, like they've tried out so many different shows on Smosh over the years, like within their like structures. They have had so many structural shifts that they've had to respond to, like with, you know, selling to Defy, and then Anthony leaving, and then Defy collapsing, and then being bought by Mythical, and then Ian and Anthony reuniting and buying Smosh back. And then they've moved studios in those over those times as well. And including recently, they just moved studios again. So Capricorn is very much about structures. So having Chiron in Capricorn conjunct their descendant really gives me that energy of like having to deal with a lot of structural shifts, but also electing to make a lot of structural shifts and innovate to sort of stay ahead of things when they can. And so that tracks. That's what their chart ruler is conjunct as well. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Oh, I've written down in my notes. Saturn trine Uranus. Uh, it's again reinforcing that theme of structural disruptions, because Saturn is all about like structure and foundations, but Uranus is about sudden twists of fate and innovations. And both of these are in air signs. So there's very much like going through ideological differences, which they've spoken about happened a lot during the Defy era, with Defy taking a very corporate sort of stance on prioritizing profit and not really caring so much about the art of what was being made, which would not go over well with like the heart of Smosh, because they have 3 planets in Scorpio in the fifth house. And that's very much like the fifth house is about like creativity. It is a place where you need to do things with your heart in it. And especially with Scorpio too. Scorpio also demands authenticity. Scorpio does not want this half-baked, like, corporate do whatever makes the most money energy. So that explains why they had such big ideological differences that one of the founding members left and later came back once things had changed sufficiently. But, that makes sense. Let's see. What else do I want to discuss? I think let me go forth and introduce the chart for the Smosh YouTube channel, and then I can start to compare both of them because they both kind of have a lot of similar reflection things happening. Okay, so the Smosh YouTube channel. Hold on. Okay, so this one, again, I used this website. It's like mattw.io or something like that. And used it to find when the channel was created. And so it was created November 19th, 2005 at 2:25 a.m. So still Venus Day, because even though it was technically Saturday in calendar time, the planetary days don't reset until sunrise. And so since this was created at 2 a.m. in presumably still Carmichael, California, it's still Venus Day. So same planetary day as the website was created. And both the website and the Smosh YouTube channel are both Scorpio suns. So there's another fun reflection. And so this chart is Libra rising with the South Node in the first house, and the planet that guides the ascendant is Venus in Capricorn in the fourth house. And so I found this to be an interesting commonality between the two of them because the website's chart is Cancer rising ruled by the moon in Capricorn, and the YouTube channel is Libra rising ruled by Venus in Capricorn. So both of them have their chart ruler, which is a very significant planet in Capricorn. And so again, this I think speaks to like Capricorn, I have noticed, is like a sign that is very much about consistent output. Whenever I have like noticed it significant in the charts of YouTubers. So like for example, Jacksepticeye, he has like a big old Capricorn stellium, even though he is an Aquarius sun, I know, but he has multiple planets in Capricorn, and he did a very, very like consistent daily upload schedule for a long time, and I'm sure that heavily contributed to him popping off and becoming as popular as he did, along with, luck and timing and just the quality of his content resonating with the people he was finding as an audience and stuff like that. But, like, not to, like, this is not to say that the Capricorn stellium did it, but rather the Capricorn stellium illustrates his decision to work hard on it, like it reflects that. Or like similar thing with Rhett and Link, who neither of them are Capricorns themselves, but the Good Mythical Morning YouTube channel, which was like their thing that has been, ongoing so consistently for so many years, doing, like 5 uploads a week or whatever, for over a decade at this point. Like, and their YouTube channel is a Capricorn sun. So I have noticed Capricorn placements are very good for consistency in general, but especially like in terms of consistent uploads for YouTube related things. And so Smosh also has this quality of like they've got a very consistent upload schedule. I don't know like when they started having a consistent upload schedule because I haven't looked into it so much, but like right now it's like they've got something across their like 5 or 6 different channels or how many they are. They have something uploading like every day of the week, which is again very good for maintaining the company. with such big cast and crew as they have now. But yeah, okay, so the Smosh YouTube channel, I've mentioned Libra rising, ruled by Venus and Capricorn in the fourth house. They've got a late degree Scorpio sun, and they've also got Jupiter in Scorpio. They got Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. They've got Mars retrograde in Taurus. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to mention. So the website chart had Venus retrograde in Scorpio, and then the YouTube channel's chart has Mercury and Mars retrograde. So I think this again speaks to the way that Smosh has had to deal with so much like restructuring, because retrogrades are like very much like go back over things, review, rethink, replan, reformulate. And so Smosh has had to go through reformings and restructures, both electively and by circumstance. So just supporting that theme. That's the fun thing that you'll notice about a lot of, like, when you get into reading charts, you will notice a lot of times what happens is that the themes will just kind of stack on and support each other, and that's how you'll get the most obvious qualities of the person or place or thing or entity that you're reading the chart for. So yeah, let's see, what else do we have? Oh yeah, and then very important thing I wanted to mention. So the YouTube channel has 3 degrees Cancer midheaven with the moon in Cancer in the 10th house. I find this extremely significant because the website chart is 3 degrees Cancer ascendant, and the YouTube channel is 3 degrees Cancer midheaven, which is not only are they both in Cancer, but they're the same degree of Cancer. And that's just so delicious. Like they're exactly conjunct each other. And so what's happening is that like the ascendant of a chart is like sort of like its face. It's like the point on the eastern horizon that was like coming up. It's like the inhale of breath, the inhale of a soul into a person or an entity when they're born or when it's born. And so that is what the ascendant symbolizes. Whereas the midheaven is like, the midheaven is marked for whatever spot the sun is when it's at its peak height in the sky. And it'll vary depending on your like latitude around the earth, you know, because of the angle of the sun being different at different latitudes around the earth. But so because the midheaven is the point at which the sun is highest in the sky, it is very symbolically wildly appropriate to me that the website's ascendant chart, which is just sort of like who it is at its core, is taken up to the midheaven, which is the most public, the most like everyone can see this part of the sky. You can't hide it. And so it's very appropriate that the YouTube channel took that core, like individual entity of Smosh and made it the public face of Smosh. And I also find it very appropriate that it has Cancer moon in the midheaven because Anthony Padilla, the one of the 2 co-founders and the person who made both the website and YouTube channel account, because he was doing all of the tech stuff in the beginning for them, he also has a Cancer moon. And so I just find that to be mwah, chef's kiss, so delicious, so perfect. So the astrology is doing exactly what it does, you know? And yeah, I just find that delicious. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to mention for this chart? Oh, yes. Okay, so in classic me fashion, I almost forgot the entire reason that I wanted to do this video was, why did Smosh just do Parents Week, right? Like, it's an interesting theme for a comedy YouTube channel to do. Why does Smosh love moms, as I may title this video, and dads? But what is up with that? And so part of the reason for that is because they have this Cancer rising in the website's birth chart, and this Cancer midheaven and moon in the YouTube channel's birth chart. And both of them have a Capricorn planet as their chart ruler for both the website and the YouTube channel. And so the Capricorn Cancer axis is very much traditionally like the sort of like has to do with like the family life sort of axis. If you had to assign it to a zodiac sign axis, you know, it is very much like Cancer is stereotypically considered like the mom, like sort of archetype, while Capricorn is kind of like the dad. And so having Cancer and Capricorn be signs that are so heavily emphasized in the Smosh website chart and YouTube channel chart perfectly aligns with the way that Smosh has, like, across the years in various capacities included that sort of theme. Like, they used to call themselves Smosh Family, the Smosh Family, like back in like maybe 2015, 2016, when like they first started adding additional cast members and it was no longer just Ian and Anthony. And then they stopped doing that because it's kind of toxic workplace coded to refer to like as, you know, like a workplace group as a family for whatever reason. But like they still like will let it slip sometimes of like thinking of the group as a family. There's lots of in the fandom jokes about Ian and Anthony being kind of like the two dads of Smosh because they were the co-founders, but then like Anthony is like the dad who stepped out for milk, like, and never came back, you know, because he left, but then now he's back. And so it's like, I either see him called, you know, like dad finally came back from stepping out for milk, or they'll maybe call him the stepdad, you know, because like he wasn't as familiar with the cast at first, but he has been making efforts to get to know them as they've been co-starring in videos together and whatnot. And Smosh also on Smosh Games for a while they had a sub series called Family Style. Again, very that coded. And then there's other Smosh members who will have that sort of like mom or dad label applied to them, or like they will jokingly call each other like mommy or daddy, like in various things. Like Amanda, of course, like she was already very like she, fans would call her like very like mom coded, very mother in terms of she's slaying, she's serving mother, you know. But now she's also literally a mother, and so that is very aligned with all of this Cancer Capricorn stuff that is happening in those two charts. And then, of course, the thing that inspired this video, they literally just did Smosh Parents Week, which was they had on mostly for most of the week it was Spencer, Olivia, and Arasha having their mothers on, which again, Spencer is that Cancer sun, Olivia potentially has a Cancer moon, and then Arasha um is Arasha's birth chart is so difficult for me because um she's born on the day that the moon, oh actually no, not that hard. So I believe based on having her correct birth location, she is definitely a Sagittarius sun, but she's born right before the solstice, so it's right before the sun moved into Capricorn. But she either has Capricorn or Aquarius moon. So if she has Capricorn moon, then I think that would make sense with like the way that she brings up and talks about her family a lot, and the fact that she was one of the people who had her mom on for Parents Week. And so these like two like potential Cancer placements and one potential Capricorn placement being the ones who had their parents, their moms on for most of the week, that felt very appropriate to me. And then Ian and Anthony themselves had their dads on for an episode of like looking back in the past, and that felt very cool and aligned with all this Cancer Capricorn theming as well. Yeah. Okay. Glad I remembered that. Okay, I think that's enough for the charts for now. I will just mention, I do think that it's very interesting that there are so because the ascendant descendant axis of the website is Cancer and Capricorn, which are signs that are opposite each other. And then the ascendant descendant axis for the YouTube channel is Libra and Aries. So, and those four signs are all grouped together in astrology under a category we call cardinal signs, because they are all like either 90 degrees from each other on the wheel or across from each other on the wheel. And so they're a grouping of signs called cardinal signs. And what they are is they are very like initiatory signs. They like to get things started. They like to start projects. They might not necessarily be so great at finishing them unless they have other more fixed placements to back them up. But they really love to get things started, and they really love to initiate, and they love to make the first move. So Smosh is not only good at doing that, but it is very, if you look at the astrology of the cast, you will see a lot of Cancer and Capricorn and Aries and Libra placements. Like, for example, I already mentioned Anthony has that Cancer moon. Another possible Cancer moon we have is Olivia Sui. She was one of the first full-time cast members hired on after Ian and Anthony had been like a duo for so long, and they'd already had some like other people come in on their games channel, but the first like 5 people that they hired on to be additional full-time cast, Olivia Sui was one of them, and she, depending on her birth time, might be a Cancer moon. Based on the way she talks about her relationship with food and her relationship with mother, I think she is more likely to be a Cancer moon than the other option, which is a Gemini moon. I think she's a Cancer moon. And I think that would probably also make sense for the way that both Olivia and Anthony, I think they have like a lot of, they're very like, what's the word for it? Polarizing. The response to them is very polarized from the fans. Like Anthony Padilla talks about how like people, when he left Smosh, people were simultaneously commenting to him that Smosh was either better off without him or that he was funnier when he was on Smosh, which is like as polarized as you can get. And then with Olivia Sui, there's a lot of either like people really, really get her humor or they really, really don't, and they complain about it in the comments. I am, of course, on the side of really, really get her humor. As a fellow Leo sun, she's also a Leo sun like me. And I also just, her extremely weird, not sequitur, like Lynchian style of humor, it speaks to me perfectly. So I'm a fan. But who else are Cancers in the cast? Oh, of course, one of the most popular cast members who started off as an editor and then just like, I don't even know, like all, like I feel like almost against his will, like rose to fame amongst the cast was Spencer Agnew, who is, I would say, a fan darling. And he either has a Pisces moon or an Aries moon, depending on what time he was born. I personally think Aries moon, which, if correct, would mean that he has 2 of those 4 cardinal signs that I mentioned as part of his big 3. And so it would make sense that he, even though he was an editor, he became such a favorite that he is now also a cast member, in addition to being the director of the Smosh Games channel. And so that makes sense because Cancer being the 10th house of the YouTube channel's website, again, it is the most public place. And so he became public, whether or not he intended to, basically. Other people who are very much on this, like, on the Aries Libra side of things, Keith Leak Jr. and Angela Girratana both have Libra Sun opposite Aries moon. So not only are they both full moon babies, which gives you like visibility whether you want it or not kind of vibes. And they've both gone viral in a meme sense. With Keith, there was this one meme they did of him looking at a laptop and unzipping his pants in preparation to do unzipping your pants things. And so that became a meme that he went viral for. While Angela has gone viral for memes such as like her running around after eating fried cat food on Eat It or Yeet It once. And then more recently, there was a video where they were playing the trivia game, Jeopardy! And she started to go, "That's not fair." And then she reels herself in, like, "I need to calm down. I'm an adult. This is fine." So she went viral for that. And so full moon babies, like, not only do full moon babies are more likely to go viral in general, but there is that vibe of like, because they're on the first house, seventh house axis of the YouTube channel, it feels very much like not only are they going viral, they're going viral for things that are, I think, kind of at the core essence of Smosh, which one of which is people freaking out, which Smosh loves to be loud, Smosh loves to freak out. That's part of their vibe. Yeah, okay. Who else has Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn? Oh, yeah. Two more Capricorns who are very important. And may I remind you, Capricorn Moon is the Smosh website's chart ruler. And two people who are Capricorn Moons who are cast members, Amanda Lehan-Canto and Chanse McCrary. And so not only does that explain why they sort of have this interesting vibe of like, they both have air sun signs. Amanda's an Aquarius sun and Chance is a Gemini sun, but they also both have Capricorn moons, which is why they have a very like vitriolic sort of like love-hate besties sort of like dynamic going on in their specific duo. And so it just feels very appropriate to their Capricorn moons. Both of them are also there's really no one who isn't a fan favorite. Like all of the cast members have people who are like stands for them specifically. But I will just say, like, Chance really does well at capturing the sort of like, I don't know, there's this like duality to him where he is like both extremely like versed in nerdy like things, like super into superheroes and stuff, but also having this like cool, suave sort of outlook, and then also representing the gays as well. So he's got like a lot of depth to him. You know, he can be the chosen, but he can also be Betty Boop. And it's delightful. Amanda, of course, is like definitely gotten a lot of specific visibility for being one of the co-hosts of Smosh Mouth, which is Smosh's currently ongoing podcast, which she co-hosts with Shane Top. And Amanda also notably was on pregnancy leave, or what you call maternity leave, recently. So drew attention in that way. Oh, and she also had a viral moment, and she's got that moon in the seventh house of the thing. She had a viral moment a couple of years ago for not knowing who Harambe was. Rest in peace, Harambe. But yeah, that was a clip that really went viral. And so people who have those like axes, and so they've just had, so these cast members who have these like Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Libra placements have had a lot of big visibility. Oh, another one that I just remembered, another Aries moon, one of the two co-founders, Ian Hecox. He's a Sagittarius sun with an Aries moon. And so his Aries moon would have been in the 10th house, again, the public sector of the website's chart. And then it is in the 7th house, which is on the 1-7 axis of like important relationships for the Smosh YouTube channel. So of course he was one of the most important relationships and is one of the like people who has kept Smosh glued together over the years. within his sort of like guidance and the way that he put so much effort in during the Defy collapse to make deals and like find like someone else to like buy Smosh to make sure that the like company didn't go under and everyone didn't lose his jobs. And he succeeded. He put in that work and he succeeded. So that is very much like that seventh house Aries moon being like in the seventh house of, or that Aries moon being in the seventh house of Smosh's chart. I don't know if he has a seventh house moon. I don't know about his rising sign. I don't know about most of the rising signs of Smosh. There's only like 5 of them who have shared their birth charts. Oh, which reminds me, Amanda Lehan-Canto, not only does she have a Capricorn moon, she's also an Aries rising, which means she also has that placement in the 7th house of the YouTube channel's chart, where she is kind of a structural glue kind of like component, where she really captures that very unhinged Smosh humor in a delightful way, even though she was a much later addition to the cast than some of the other people there. But yeah, she's really like capturing the energy and really killing it on there for that reason. Some other cast members who are significant. We have a one more that I do have a birth time and therefore a rising time for, Damien Haas, who is a Capricorn rising. And so, again, he sort of falls into that category of like he was the 6th full-time cast member added on after the original like 5 for the Smosh squad. And Damien has an interesting thing where like he does have like a specific popularity amongst the Smosh cast, having the sort of like the like he's able to bring that sort of like loud crazy energy, but then he's also able to sort of like have his like more mellow toned down sort of like knows a lot of trivia and is neurodivergent kind of vibe. And also like I think he was very much known for being like very like non-binary inclusive in his like sort of like earlier iterations. Like he would be like say like, you know, guys, gals. Was he saying guys, gals, and non-binary pals? I don't remember, but like it was something like that where he would be like being like very like queer inclusive like that. And as we all know, Smosh is gay, and so that really vibed with that. And that was definitely like one of the things that like made me like take note of him and like something that I appreciated about him like in like when I first started watching Smosh. So yeah, I think Damien really like falls into that sort of like Capricorn, sort of like fitting into that key structure of Smosh. Oh, and then we've got 2 Libra moons, neither of whom is with Smosh any longer, but both of whom were definitely had their fan bases while they were here. One was Jackie Uweh, and one was Kimmy Jimenez. And so, yeah, both of them were Libra moons, which would fall into the, what is it, the 4th house of the website chart and the 1st house of the Smosh YouTube channel chart. And I think they were both like very much like had their own subset of like fans who were really into them. And like when I first started watching Smosh, Jackie was my favorite cast member, which was kind of sad because 3 or 4 months after I started watching, she left. So it was like, I'm glad I have the backlog of when she was there, but I was like, dang, what a twist. But yeah, I really adored Jackie as a cast member, and Kimmy definitely has delightful energy as well. Kimmy was another Leo sun, and again, I'm a Leo sun, so I'm like, I simply have to be there for the Leos that I come across. Um, but yeah, and so both of them having like Libra placements, like I feel like really came in with like Kimmy was like a lot of like behind the camera stuff as well. Like I don't know if she was like, I don't remember if she was like producer, director, or what, but having that sort of like hand in like forming Smosh in that sort of like background way, as well as occasionally being on camera. And then just Jackie as well, like her sense of humor being so like just like delightful and concentrated and like uniquely herself, but also like bouncing off of other people really well. Um, and having just like that, both of them had that sort of like flirtatious, lovey vibe that I think meshes well with like Libra. And Jackie's visibility was so good that she went to leave to go work at another, I think, comedy place called Second City, which is like very, I think, prestigious amongst comedian circles. So, you know, clearly like Smosh gave her some of that opportunity to shine in a way that she could then go and pursue other things that she is interested in. Let's see, other things that I wanted to mention. The Smosh YouTube channel chart has a grand trine in water signs and in fire signs. So a grand trine is basically just when you have like a planet in each of the three signs of a certain element. So they've got uh, three planets spread out across each of the water signs, and then they've got three planets spread out across each of the fire signs as well. And so water and fire are both very like passionate elements, of course, and I think this really relates well to like the grand fire trine. I really see in like the way Smosh is known for having their like really dramatic way of talking, like, you know, like the classic Smosh sketches that they started off with were very much like them talking in a really exaggerated tone. And so that feels very fire grand trine to me. And then with the water signs, like the emotionality and the competitiveness that they get into really feels very like water and fire. And especially the way that a lot of their duos, they tend to like have a lot of like kind of contrast going back and forth between them, where like they'll sometimes be besties and sometimes they will be enemies between like I think across pretty much all of the duos. Like they have that like sometimes they are like, yeah, we're a pair and we're going to take you down, but sometimes they have a like, we're on opposing teams and I'm going to crush you today. And that's an enjoyable dynamic, I think, across all of them. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was just that uh, the Smosh YouTube channel also kind of loosely has a grand cross in fixed signs. And so that means is that there are, like I mentioned, there are four cardinal signs. Another category of four signs is fixed signs. While cardinal signs are all about initiating and getting stuff started, fixed signs slower to get stuff started, but they're really good at follow through and finishing things and working on things consistently. So in this way, that's probably a benefit to Smosh, where they have the YouTube channel has this fixed grand cross, which allows for that energy of being able to work consistently and give consistent output, in addition to constantly trying new things with the cardinal stuff. Yeah, so I think that is all I wanted to cover for today. I definitely have more stuff to say in future videos because I want to do stuff where I compare the website chart and the YouTube channel chart with the Defy buy the initial Defy like buying the company chart versus the Defy collapse chart. I also want to do, of course, the charts for Anthony leaving versus Anthony coming back. And then also somewhere in there, like, you know, the mythical buying them. And yeah, I've got like several other charts that I think could be fun to compare. I can do, there's other charts that I want to do, not charts, but other videos where I want to talk about like sort of the dynamics of the cast themselves, like what is the most common of the four elements across them, or like comparing like different moon phases, or just comparing the like sun and moon placements for like different duos that are very popular, and like seeing, you know, what's similar or opposite about them and why they are a popular duo. Yes. Okay. So I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Like the video, comment to tell me if you like the video, subscribe to my channel if you want more of this, and yeah, take care. Bye.